everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the first half of 2026 because I am doing the mid-year freakout tag. So I have my notes here with the questions and what books I want to talk about. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Question number one says, what is the best book that you've read so far in 2026? And I can say without a doubt that my favorite book so far of 2026 is Daggermouth by H.M. Wolfe. I absolutely loved this book. I feel like I read it in the right, it was like the right book at the right time. And I don't normally fall for the hype, but this book deserves all the hype that it's received so far. I loved every second. Like, I knew pretty much towards the, like, within the first 10% of the book that this book was going to be a 5-star read, and it absolutely was from start to finish. And that ending was insane. And so I am very impatiently waiting for book 2 to come out so that we can find out what exactly is going to happen after the ending. And if you know, you know. Question number 2 is, what is the best sequel that you've read? And I've had a little bit of a hard time with this because normally I read a lot of sequels, but I feel like this year I haven't read as many as I typically do. And that's owing to the fact that I have read a lot of standalones this year, which is not something that I typically do. I love to read series. And so standalones are not something that I reach for often, but I realized, like, as I was going through the books that I read this year, that I have read a lot more standalones than what I normally do. And so I, had to think really hard about this question. And also, I feel like sequels have not really been on point for me, at least this year. And so my favorite sequel that I read this year goes to Finley Donovan Crosses the Line, which is the most recent installment. I want to say it's like book 5 or book 6 in the Finley Donovan series. This is a series that I really do enjoy. I think that it has really funny writing. And like the shenanigans, like if you love to read a book about with shenanigans, Finley Donovan is a series that you should consider. But I did read Finley Donovan Crosses the Line right when it came out, and it didn't disappoint. I had a great time with it. And the ending, like, I cannot wait for the next book to come out next year. Question number 3 says, what is a new release that you haven't gotten to yet, but you are looking forward to? And I'm going to have to go with Beneath by Ariel Sullivan. This is another book I feel like is getting a lot of hype right now. And so I'm a little nervous going into it. However, it is a dystopian romance, which I found is one, like a genre that I've really been enjoying this year. And so I cannot wait to see what the hype is. Hopefully I will love this one as much as everybody else is. This is the first book in the prequel series to Conform. Now, I have not read Conform yet, so that's another like possibility. Like if I really like this book, then I will read Conform. But I do plan to read Beneath this month because it is the July pick for the Tortured Readers Book Club. So if you have been wanting to pick this book up as well, I suggest that you read along with us. Question number 4 is, what is the most anticipated release coming up in the second half of the year? And I am going to go with Burn of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is the 4th and final book in the Kindred's Curse saga, which is one of my favorite series. And it is a long-awaited release, because at this point I've been waiting for over 2 years for Burn to come out, and it finally is. It is set to release on September 8th of this year, and I cannot wait. I am debating whether to dive right into Burn when it releases, or to do a reread, since it has been so long since I've read this series. Um, but I don't want to, like, I think it's going to come down to how I am feeling when the book comes out, because I have not really been in the biggest romantasy mood right now. I feel like romantasy and I are in a little bit of a slump, and so I don't want to rush into it just because I'm excited for it to come out, only to be disappointed. So I am going to have to, really think about it when September comes around, how I want to go about reading this book. But I am so excited, so excited for this book to come out. Question number 5 asks, what is the biggest disappointment that I've read in 2026? And so this book kind of piggybacks off what I was just saying about how I am in a bit of a romantasy slump right now, and rushing into like anticipated releases, because this book, the book that I'm going to talk about, it hurts me to talk about it as the answer to this question, because this was another, like, this is my other like highly anticipated release of this year, and I did rush into reading it. I reread book 1 and then rushed right into this one, and it really put me into a big slump. And that is The Ballad of Falling Dragons by Sarah A. Parker. I am so upset that this is my most disappointing read of the year so far. And it's not so much that the book itself is bad, because I really don't think that it is. It was more so just my experience with the book, because I did read this as soon as it came out. I reread When the Moon Hatched earlier in May, at the beginning of May, and like tore through it in 3 days, gave it 5 stars again, like I did the first time. And then when this book came out, it came out right before the end of the school year. So I did plan for it to be like the book that I read as soon as school got out, because I had a week before the ending of school and the beginning of summer school. And so I was like, this is my book. This is the book that I'm going to read on that week off. And I shouldn't have. I should have waited to read this book, to pick this book up, because I started to get sick. I came down with a terrible cold that week after school got out, and I was exhausted, and I just did not feel, I felt horrible. And I persisted. I pushed through and got to about 85% of the book before I called it quits. Now, I'm not quitting this book forever. I am going to pick it up again when I am feeling better about romantasy and giving it another try, because I do feel like the storytelling and where this book is going to bring us really to like a really exciting place. But I had a terrible time reading this book, and it hurts my soul to say that. But I am going to give it a chance again, and I'm probably going to start it over instead of picking up where I left off, because I got to like 85% in the book before I called it quits. And I think like I feel like I need to start over and, try this book again with a, better mindset. Question number 6 is, what is your biggest surprise of 2026? And all of that talk about how romantasy and I are in a slump. I have a romantasy book here to talk about. However, I read this book in February on my birthday, actually. And really, like, when we talk about wrong book, wrong time, this was the right book at the right time. And that is Ravenminder by Lindsay Cummings. And I wasn't even going to read this book, if I'm being honest. When Tortured Readers Book Club picked this for February, I didn't have any interest in it. The cover, like the cover wasn't really speaking to me or anything like that. And I had a lot of books that I needed to get to in February, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have time, but I wanted to read the book on book club sprints since it was my birthday. So I was like, what the heck, let's just go ahead and read it. And guys, I rated this 5 stars. Now, is this the best book? Like, no, it's not. But this was a 5-star vibes read, and I don't often give those out. I've actually only had 3 5-star reads this year, not counting like rereads or anything like that. So first one we talked about earlier was Daggermouth. This one was my second 5-star read of the year. Or no, it was my third 5-star read of the year because I did have one. I had 2 5-stars in January. But I was so surprised at how much I loved this book, and I cannot wait to continue. I did get the 2 novellas that kind of go in between book 1 and book 2, which hasn't come out yet. And those 2 novellas like take place from the point of view of the 2 princes that are in this story, because there is a little bit of a love triangle that she has gotten herself into. And I had the best time. I read this book. I read almost all of this book the first day that I picked it up. And so, I mean, this was right book, right time. Biggest surprise of the year. Question number 7 asks, what is your favorite new author? So a new to you author that you have read in 2026. And I have to say that my newest favorite author that I met this year, well, I didn't meet her in person, but I met her books, and that is Catherine Cowles. I have read so far 3 of her books. The first one being Fragile Sanctuary, which is book 1 in the Sparrow Falls series. I also read All the Missing Pieces, which is a standalone. And then I read Across the Vanishing Sky, which is the first book in the Starlight Grove series. And I absolutely loved both of these books. All the Missing Pieces I didn't love as much, but I feel like that might be just because it's a standalone. So like I felt like, it's not going to go anywhere. Like I love both of these series like follow like siblings, like so family, small town family vibes, which I really love. And these are both romantic suspense books, and that is another. So I really have been enjoying dystopian romance, but then also romantic suspense. And so I know that Catherine Cowles is an author that I am going to continue to reach for. I have all of the books in this series, so I cannot wait to get to these. And the second book in this series is coming out in just a few days. And so I am really excited to pick up book 2 in this series as well. Question number 8 is, who is your newest fictional crush in 2026? And this was another one that I had a little bit of trouble like choosing, because I don't really feel like I have very much of a fictional crush this year. So far this year, like none of the male main characters have really been speaking to me to where like I can't get them out of my head. But I do have to say that a male main character that I did enjoy reading and like getting to know through his story is Wilder Wells, which is in Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. This book was a really good time, and Wilder in this book, like he really was funny. Like the banter was so good in this book, and I feel like he really was a selfless character. Like he cares about the people in his life and will do anything for them. And I feel like he really brought out the best of the female character in this book, Scotty. And like, and I bookmarked this page because there is character art. Ooh, can't figure out how to go. I mean, he's not bad to look at. And I really liked how he just kind of wasn't like a typical like male main character. Like he has dark hair and like he has a lip piercing and tattoos and everything. Like he's kind of more like a dark and broody looking male main character, but then like when you get to know him, like whenever he opens his mouth, he is hilarious and he's not like really dark and brooding. So I really did enjoy reading about Wilder Wells in that book. Question number 9 says, who is your newest favorite character? And I had a few contenders for this question. So my favorite kinds of characters are like side characters. Like if there is a good like side character who is full of sarcasm and is funny, and especially if they are non-human, a non-human side character, I tend to prefer those characters to the main characters. And so I do have to say that my newest favorite character of this year so far, that is Princess Donut from the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. Now, I've only read book 1 so far, but I definitely want to continue because I did have a great time with this book. And I feel like a large part in that is due to Princess Donut. The beautiful, sarcastic, snarky cat that follows, along with Carl. She she's everything. I wish I could meet her in real life. Question number 10 is, what is a book that made you cry? And that book goes to the other 5-star read that I've had this year, because I feel like if a book can make me cry, like sob, cry, it deserves 5 stars. And this book not only made me cry once, but I cried, like cried, tears coming down my face several times in this book. And that book is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Whenever the part of the story, like when they were, dealing with one of the characters on the spaceship, like sobbing. Like as soon as I started reading that part of the book, I already started to cry because it was just so gut wrenching, those parts of the book, that it just sobbing. When I tell you crying, I don't cry a lot with my books. I will get teary eyed a lot, but like for the tears to fall down my face, 5 stars. And that it was actually my first 5-star read. I read it is one of the first books that I read in January, and I still think about those scenes to this day. Question 11 is, what is a book that made you happy? And this is that is easily Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Now, this was a reread for me, and because I did read this book when it first came out in 2021, I want to say, but I did reread it in preparation of going to see the movie, which I also really enjoyed. And so I was really happy to pick this book up again, and I still enjoyed the experience. Like I know a lot of people who read this book didn't prefer like all the science stuff that's in this book, but I really did enjoy it. And learned a lot of things about science, which, is not terrible. But this book made me happy. Rocky, he is one of those types of characters that I said that I really love. And just the friendship that these two form, and just like the way that the book ends, like it just was a really happy time for me. And I am really glad to have gotten the chance to read this book again. And the movie is also great. Question number 12 is, what is the most beautiful book that you've gotten so far this year? And this was another hard one to choose just one book, because I have a subscription to Fairy Loot's young adult romantasy and cozy fantasy. So I've gotten quite a few special edition books this year that have been really beautiful. Not to mention like some of the standard edition books, like, that you can just get in the bookstore, have been really beautiful this year. But this book really called to me because like everything about the book is beautiful. So hopefully when I do read this book, it is, beautiful on the inside as it is on the outside. And so I chose Weaving Shawl by Hiba Al-Wasiti, and I apologize if I did not say that correctly. But this book is beautiful. Like, the atmosphere in this book is incredible. And like the cover is beautiful, the sprayed edges are beautiful. I'm going to pull the slip cover off because the naked hardback is also gorgeous and atmospheric. The end pages are also stunning, and I cannot wait to read this book. But I think I'm going to wait until like October, that spooky season, because this is really giving me like gothic, spooky vibes. And it deals with like the main character can like see the dead, and so she goes to this like this creepy house. And so I am really excited. That's really all that I know about it. And I'm really excited to read it when, when spooky season gets here. And the last question says, what book do you still need to get to by the end of this year? And like all of the books, there are so many books that I feel like I need to get to, but I know that I won't get to all of them. So I did not pull any specific book for this question, because what I really want to focus on and like prioritize for the remainder of this year is getting through my special editions. I have all of my special editions in this container. As you can see, it's a lot. There's a lot of them. And then also, to my second priority is to continue the series that I've started. Now I don't have a container like this of the series that I am a part of, because there's like 150 series that I have started that I want to continue. Now I am in that list of 150. Some of them I am caught up to date, but they're not finished series, so I still have them like all listed, but it's like somewhere around 150 series. And so I really need to stop starting so many series and do more continuing series. And so those I feel like are going to be like my top priorities for the remainder of the year: finishing series or continuing series, and prioritizing all of the special editions that I have. Otherwise, I just need to start canceling my subscriptions because I need to catch up. And there you have it, friends. That is the mid-year freak out book tag questions answered. And I hope that the second half of 2026 is going to be kind to me, because I feel like I'm starting to come out of the slump that I got myself into, like May going into June. And so like I said, I hope that the rest of the year does treat me well, and that I really do enjoy the books that I pick up. What I want to know from you is what books that you picked up in 2026. Like, what was your biggest surprise of 2026? What was your favorite book? Like, you can tell me, you can answer any of those questions that I just answered. And if you don't feel like you have anything to say but just want to let me know that you were watching, just leave me the astronaut. If there's an astronaut emoji, I don't know if there is or not, but if there is, leave me an astronaut emoji, or any other kind of space related emoji, just to let me know that you were here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.